Buckshot Roulette is a handful of things. It's simple, intriguing, addictive, and ultimately terrifying. This may be off-putting for those that only see the price of this game being as much as a Kit Kat bar, and yet the game has received a cult following. This can be seen as a crowning achievement for indie developers out there, given how popular it was with not just the general public of the internet, getting covered regularly by news pages, but also big hit YouTubers. So you can say that the game followed its themes, took a chance, and got lucky. And I will say, as intriguing and as addictive as the gameplay is, I struggle to find a way to recommend this game to the general public. Why is that? Well, let's find out. The opening is very unassuming. You're in a restroom outside of a nightclub, your character presumably being aware of what they're in for. It's a dingy bathroom, there isn't much to do in here, so you take a step and start going through the doors. A peculiar thing for the dealer to state, especially at a nightclub, but after signing, there is no going back. Little noise will leave this room. The game has just begun. Buckshot Roulette, as so many others have stated, is a game of chance. The only thing, unlike the widely accepted comparison of Russian roulette, is rather than purely pointing the gun at yourself, you have the option of shooting your opponent. First wave is exactly that, purely taking a chance. 2 shots before going down, defibrillators on either side. This is as simple as it gets. Don't worry though, round 1 will end quickly regardless of what happens. And as the dealer himself says, items are introduced. Now both players can skew the odds in their favor, with 4 shots before going down. The items in question can be used to recover from mistakes, be secured from mistakes, or reduce your opponent's odds of survival. Recovering from mistakes in the form of cigarettes, be secured via beer and the magnifying glass, and reducing opponent odds via the handcuffs and the knife. Just one round can completely turn the tides, as multiple items can be used before flipping the coin with the shotgun. But even then, this is still a game of chance. You don't know what pairs of items you'll get from the box in front of you, and you don't know what the dealer will get either. And here comes the dynamism of the decisions you make. Do you become conservative with your items and purely take chances? Or do you go all in and use what you have to skew the odds in your favor? Play it risky or play it safe? This is still a game of chance. And once the dealer goes down, the final showdown. It's all or nothing here. You may have been lucky with the defibrillator having a reserve charge should you have lost in the prior 2 waves, but you heard the dealer. they'll be out of commission soon. And to amp up the stakes even more, as even the music in the nightclub hints, now the stakes are as high as ever. Third time's the charm, they used to say. Now it's time to see if that remains true for you. This wave can end in either 2 rounds, or many more, depending on the item gain and item usage. And to complement this, there are consistently high odds for a live round to be present. You will need to be careful with what items you use, what you preserve, and take into account that at least half of your item space will be filled whenever the round concludes. And it's still best to use a good amount of items before the next round ends, because there's no reserve bank here. Even despite all that, all the planning, and all the items, you still have to consider the dealer's moves. He can stack items as well, and more often than not, will. Which, as stated many times before, still makes this into a game of chance. One shot is all it will take now for it all to be over. There's a certain relief that comes, but why? Is it relief that no matter what happens, a conclusion will fall? To finally be free from this seemingly perpetual window? It's time to find out. The pearly gates. Strange that despite the deal you made, you end up here. Only it wouldn't have mattered if you'd end up in here or in hell. Do you remember anything that was misplaced, by any chance? It was made clear back then. So now, you'll be here, as an angel, for eternity. But what if things were different? Back here again? Will you question it? Or will you just walk through those doors? one more chance. Even the dealer thought he was done. Somehow, he come back. going through the same waves, the same shots, the same items. It's all too familiar. Until... a situation you're all too familiar with. Just one shot is all that's needed. Only then will you finally be free. But remember, he can still turn the tables around. He's still a player in all this. Truly, just one shot is all that it will take now. You finally did it. After a long night, multiple shots fired, beers chugged, and cigarettes smoked, you finally walk out of the nightclub with a hefty case of cash in a suitcase and the shotgun. A disturbing reminder, or perhaps even a trophy, that you took a chance, the devil himself, and won. Now, I've stated before that I would find it hard to recommend this game, but first, let's tackle the discussion of addiction. And I don't mean the game itself. I'm referring to the themes, as Gorgini discussed in his excellent video on the topic. The widely discussed aspect is given how addictive the gameplay can be, as well as the character's ambition into returning to the room should they fail the first 2 rounds. This is punctuated by the fact that luck is clearly a motif of this game, as you've constantly been taking chances, all the items you get are randomized, and the mysterious man smoking outside the restroom remarks how lucky you are for a charge to be left in the defibrillator. And regardless of who you watch online playing this game, they still have the ambition to beat it. Even Jacksepticeye after this keeps happening.
2v1! 2v1!
What? One can try to find meaning in the items as well, though this can be tricky to do. It can be argued that the cigarettes and beer are vices, to delay a certain inevitability that comes with addiction. may just be an alternative, becoming a crutch for some. The handcuffs could show an attempt at restraining others from showing you the true reality of the situation. You'd be lying if you said you didn't feel safe after putting them on a dealer, much how some may feel safe from others by distancing themselves from the truth. And the knife may be seen as an aggressive rejection of the facts, which may either hurt those that show you the grim reality, or becomes a moot point to any arguments you may have regarding your addiction. But you know what the scariest part of this theme is? He also has a spare charge. He still persists. This leads me to the dealer, which I've described as the devil for the sake of catharsis, but may not be entirely true. He's named the dealer for a reason, much how the devil makes deals for others in return for a hefty price. Along with this, the fact that the game is just between you and the dealer mirrors the duel people can face with addiction. It can be seen as a metaphor for the internal duel within a person to either go for as long as they can, or find reform before it's too late. It all depends on the person in question. This may be one of the strongest aspects of the whole game. He will always be here no matter what. Similar to how many people may suffer from the same addiction at a time. He'll still be here, waiting for the next one to fall in his trap. The themes, along with the raw subject matter, is part of why I struggle to recommend this game to anyone. These topics are pretty grim, for a game well below a modest price, and the gameplay alone can be enough to both scare newcomers that aren't in the know, as well as those around you watching. That, and despite the gameplay loop being solid, the relative simplicity is a double-edged sword. But that may be a moot point. So for the general public, I advise you to get used to the subject matter of the game, or at least consider it before picking it up. For those who have the money to spare, or for the morbidly curious, you may get a kick out of Buckshot Roulette. Alright, so I'm already just second guessing myself and assuming that I've already finished this video by now, especially because it took a single day for the recording, at least most of the script, and also I was pretty lazy with my schoolwork as of late. But I still hope that this was worth watching. Not necessarily to ride the wave of Buckshot Roulette right now, even though this is kind of... I would have done this video regardless of its success and also its popularity, even at the moment, because, you know, we're still anticipating that multiplayer update that's going to come out at least at some point in the future, and I wanted to make something that would age decently well and also be something that expresses my opinion on a product, as well as appreciating certain aspects about it while also being critical, because the gameplay itself is, like, the concept behind it, just the fact alone that it's based off of Russian roulette was pretty uncomfortable. In fact, for those of you gun nuts out there, that's the reason why I will never have a revolver in my life. But even still, I think that the execution was pretty good. There were a few issues that I've had involving a certain item slot that couldn't register, at least it wasn't registering in the same spot as it should have. That, and again, just the subject matter, because it's been scary for most people on the internet to put a blank on them and just hope to God that it was just empty. It's just some of those things that can make somebody queasy, but, you know, as it's been said before, the sights of hell brings its viewer back in, which is something that I think holds true to this game, because some people might still come back to it. I personally have it in my laptop, or when I'm trying to kill time before class, as creepy as that might be for some people, but still. I think this is a game that if you're as emotionally sick as I am, you might enjoy it. If you're somebody that's queasy about playing something like this, then it's best to just play it once and not to do it again, because you don't have to put yourself through that. The other interesting thing that I had to tackle here was the fact that you get desensitized gradually over the course of the game. And the music might not reflect this that much, but even still, this is the kind of game where you can make a short film and probably get a lot of money from it. Like, I've had an idea in my head for a while, ever since I saw clips of this game. I want to make a short film one day about this game. Maybe I'll put myself as a dealer, maybe I'll put somebody else. Maybe I might just not act at all, but, you know, just trying to flex that muscle a little bit, I suppose. I am an A-Tech student after all at UTD, so being morbidly creative is something that is right up my alley. Or at least expected of me, I suppose. But still, I think this game is unique. It, again, brings hope to indie developers to have games that are relatively simple, but are also horrifyingly addictive. Another example that I can point out is Vampire Survivors, which I also have on my laptop, but still, it's one of the smaller games out there. So I don't know if I would consider it that much. Then again, I think Vampire Survivors is like what, $5, and you can get Buckshot Roulette at regular price for $3. They had it down by 10% to celebrate the Steam release, because for those of you who aren't aware, this game was on itch.io, which is also where Bloodborne PSX is on. But still, it's very nice to see that this game is getting the recognition that it deserves, even though that recognition may be a little controversial. That's also proven by the fact that there's a Spotify release for the album itself. The album in its entirety is fantastic. That, as well as the merchandise that's coming out. There's already pre-orders for a dealer plushie, which I'm gonna give to my sister, because first time she tried that game, she got the max score, full 70k and all. And I don't even think she restarted at all, which was fascinating. At least to me, it was. And in some ways, there's like a sense of pride for her in that. Like, I haven't been able to get 70k, but that's probably because of my reliance on cigarettes and beer, because those items can become necessary later on. But still, I might get 2 dealer plushies, one for myself, one for her. That, and I'll also look at the other merch. I'll consider picking it up, though I'd probably have to hide it from my parents, because, you know, it's a game based off of 2 people at a table and you have to shoot each other with cigarettes, beer, and whatever the fuck else in it. Probably handcuffs as well, which I say probably handcuffs because depending on who you are, that might either be really kinky and thus terrifying, or it's absolutely fine. You tell me. But still, either way, I hope this was worth the time of whoever decided to see this. If you've seen this in its entirety, thank you. I might lean more towards YouTube to just get my ideas out there and just be more expressive in a way that is appropriate, because of course, you know, dark humor, and there's also some opinions that could be wrong, and you know, it's regardless of who you speak to, it's still nice to point that out, to point out wrong opinions. I don't think there's a wrong opinion about Buckshot Roulette, or at least not to the extent of actual Russian roulette, but still, I think that I'm a little bit more focused on this platform now, and who knows, maybe I'll do more stuff in the future. Maybe I'll just stream casually just because being bored, having some time to kill, I think it'd be nice to interact with somebody live. That said, I might need a second monitor for this stuff. I don't think my desk will allow it, but who knows, I'll have to try that in the future. And yeah, that's about it. I'll take care of yourselves, and if you're here, not like you're gonna see this on time anyway, but for those of you that are inside the storm that you can probably listen to right now, stay dry, stay warm, and stay safe, because who knows when there's going to be a thunderstorm or a lightning strike immediately hitting the tree in front of the house. So yeah, take it easy everyone.